It's a Dangerous Business Going Out Your Door by Jetfire. Chapter 1. The day which would go so wrong started as so many days did in Ponyville, simple and pleasant. It was, in fact, a holiday, Plow Ponies' Day, a day set aside since olden times to honor the hard work done by the Earth Ponies that tilled Equestria's endless farmlands. As such, most of Ponyville's businesses were closed, and a great bulk of the population had gathered in the radiant green parkland just beyond the city gates for a mass picnic and celebration. Twilight Sparkle had, of course, enjoyed Plow Ponies' Day before. It was a day off from classes at university in Canterlot, but never in the company of such good friends as she had now. She had never, in fact, celebrated the day with the Earth Ponies for which it had been created. It was an entirely different experience from the lazy day off she was used to. She had been roused early by frantic beating on her door, Pinkie Pie insisting that she come out and help with the preparations for the day of celebration. She had breakfasted at the long communal table in the company of her friends and nearly every other able-bodied pony in Ponyville. Then had followed a long stretch of physical labors, baking bread, plucking hay, inflating balloons, making kites, apparently flying them was a Plow Ponies' Day tradition, constructing a stage out in the park, hanging up streamers, even marking out dance grounds for the dance competition. Twilight had assisted in them all, having much greater success than her disastrous attempts at helping during the winter wrap-up. She had, of course, been helped by all of her wonderful friends, not just Pinkie Pie, but Rarity, Applejack, Rainbow Dash, and Fluttershy as well. Now it was the stroke of noon, and the park was ready to receive its multitudes. From old mares to young colts, to giggling fillies and strapping stallions, young ponies, parents and their foals, all the town's ponies had come out to eat good food and frolic in the warm spring sun. Twilight and her friends were nestled under the shade of an old oak tree that towered above them, its branches letting the dapples of golden sunlight amid a haze of wild green. They were lazily munching their way through a simple lunch of bread, hay, and apples. Pinkie Pie had started on dessert early. Grilled sugarcane surged and splashed through her mouth as she chewed. Fluttershy, lying on the grass by the tree trunk, was trying to convince her small rabbit, Angel, to eat some hay, to little avail. Rainbow Dash was perched in the branches of the tree, gazing down at her friends with one eye while the other surveyed the sky for any sign of troubling weather. Applejack sat near the bushel of apples she had brought, watching with some amusement as her two remaining friends were engaged in an attempt at education. "Rarity, you can do it! I know you can! Stop being a fear-filly and give it a try!" Twilight Sparkle said with a smile. Her deep purple eyes shone with excitement. Rarity pawed the ground with a front hoof and flinched away. "Now, darling, I appreciate your trying to help me, I really do, but I'm just not cut out for it. I'm no sorceress." "Rarity, I keep telling you, teleporting isn't something you need special talent and magic for." "Okay, my talent makes it easier for me, but every unicorn can do it. You just need some practice. Let me help you work on it." The white unicorn blinked her brilliant blue eyes and betrayed a nervous expression. I've no particular need to learn to teleport, Twilight. There's no place I'm in that large a hurry to get to, and if I ever am in such a hurry, why, I have you." Twilight shook her head amusedly. Her lavender coat was brilliant in the sunlight, and her cutie mark, a pink sparkle surrounded by small white stars, actually shone in the warm white rays. "Rarity, I'm not always going to be around to help you. And you know doing magic's like doing anything else. The more you practice at it, the better you get. Learning to teleport will help you in all your other magic, too." "Well," Rarity wavered. "Look, you already know how to use telekinesis magic, right? Teleportation works on the same principle. Instead of moving something else, you're moving yourself, and instead of moving through the air, you're moving through space and time. Easy." Rarity gave Twilight a very despairing look. With another smile, Twilight trotted close to Rarity until she was right in front of her. The lavender unicorn touched her horn to her friends, and suddenly their minds were joined. "Rarity, this is actually a very simple spell, especially for a creative pony like yourself. You've got a good imagination, right?" Rarity was caught off guard. She was uncomfortable when other ponies poked around her thoughts, even though she had long since learned to trust Twilight with them. "Well, I happen to think I do," she thought. She fluffed herself a bit. "I have a great reputation, you know." "Right." Twilight's thoughts echoed through her mind. Rarity then found herself looking into Twilight's mind, where a simulacrum of the lavender unicorn was standing in a field. A small area of the field was fenced off with white picket wood. "Teleportation magic relies on your ability to use your imagination. You have to put yourself mentally in a place before you can put yourself there physically. First, a unicorn imagines the place where she wants to go. She forms a picture of it in her mind." The image of Twilight in the field zoomed in on the fenced-off area. Then the unicorn imagines herself in that place. A flickering ghost of Twilight faded in and out of the fenced-off area. The real fake Twilight's horn began to glow, sending off a brilliant shower of sparks. Suddenly, she vanished in a burst of white light, and with another burst of white light appeared inside the fenced-off area. The real Twilight Sparkle in the real world pulled her horn apart from Rarity's, and each pony was once more alone in her head. So like I said, it's all in the mind. That's the hard part. Once you can expertly picture yourself in places, you just need to channel that mental image through your horn, and the spell almost performs itself. Rarity sighed. Twilight, darling, as much as you exalt my powers of imagination, and rightly so, I like to think, there's a great deal of difference between imagining how a dress will look on a pony and imagining oneself suddenly appearing in a separate place. Here, the Lavender Unicorn said, trotting over to the picnic. She plucked a napkin from the stack and walked a few feet away into the field. She set the napkin down and looked back toward Rarity. Just start with the short distances. Teleport from where you are right now to this napkin. Come on, Rarity, you can do it, Rainbow Dash called down from the tree. It'll be awesome! Rarity noticed all her other friends were looking expectantly at her. Even Fluttershy was smiling and nodding. She swallowed hard. Well, I suppose I can give it a whirl. Just use your horn and picture yourself standing on top of that napkin, Twilight said. Think hard. Really concentrate on standing on top of that napkin. Focus your entire mind on it. Rarity narrowed her eyes and put the napkin squarely in her sights. She began to focus, thinking of what she would see and where she would be if her hooves were right on top of that napkin. Her horn began to glow. Rarity concentrated harder, thinking of nothing else but being on top of the napkin. Sparks began to shoot from her horn, and white light began to pulse in waves down her flank. Zapoom! A small mushroom cloud of white energy rose above the treetops. Rarity lay flat on her belly, her perfectly coiffed purple mane frizzing in every conceivable direction. Her tail was likewise sprung into coils every which way. A small burn circle cut through the grass beneath her. Well, that was a good first try. Applejack, Rainbow Dash, and Pinkie Pie burst out laughing, Dash cackling so violently that she actually fell out of the tree. She hit the ground in a crash of branches and leaves and rolled over on her back, clutching her sides as she laughed. Golly, Rarity, you're not going to be teleporting anywhere but the doctor's office like that, Applejack chuckled. Humph, Rarity huffed, getting to her hooves. Her horn shimmered again, and the saddlebags that she'd piled by the tree flipped open. A mirror and a hairbrush floated from its contents, the former stopping in front of Rarity, while the latter began to brush her mane back into its normal curled state. Come on, Rarity, Twilight said, trotting over to her. Every unicorn misses their first teleport. It's nothing to get discouraged about. If you just keep on trying, I'm sure you'll get it. I have got about as much as I'm willing to tolerate, thank you very much. You university unicorns may be able to master teleportation, but I've got no need of it. It just seems too dangerous. Yeah, Pinkie Pie chimed in, finally finished with her sugarcane. Think of all the nasty accidents you could have if you teleported wrong. You could teleport different body parts in different directions. Rarity's eyes bulged. Pinkie, that's not... You could teleport yourself right into a wall? That doesn't... You can teleport right where somebody else is walking? There are safeguards. You could even teleport way up in the sky and come crashing down. Pinkie Pie! Twilight yelled. Pinkie blinked at her, then gave her a massive grin. Sighing, Twilight turned back to Rarity. The other unicorn was staring into space, eyes wide and unblinking. Rarity, the Equestrian Ministry of Transport puts a blanket teleportation assisted spell over all Equestria. It prevents accidents. They're extremely rare. Rarity slowly turned her eyes to Twilight. But not impossible? Twilight smiled through her teeth. Well? I mean, it's not unheard of. Ah! Rarity shrieked. That does it! No more teleporting! She threw her mane back over her shoulder, stuck her snout in the air, and walked purposefully back towards the tree. Sighing, Twilight trotted back to her friends and lay down in the grass. Pinkie, why did you have to scare her like that? Pinkie shrugged. I don't know. I just figured I'd be honest. You have to admit there are all sorts of crazy things that could happen to somebody trying to teleport. She thought for a moment. It sounds fun. I wish I could try it. Well, I think Rarity's wise to want to keep her hooves on the ground, so to speak, said Applejack, plucking another apple from the basket with her mouth and taking a careful bite out of it. Twilight, you big city types may get a lot of use out of teleporting every which place, but here in Ponyville, we like to take our sweet time getting places. As my Aunt Cider used to say, it ain't the destination that's important. It's the journey. Wow, that is so true, said Rainbow Dash, stretching her legs out and yawning. Especially around here in Ponyville. There's only so many times you can go and see something new in this town, but getting places, there's a new adventure every time you take off.